So it's June 23rd, 2021, around between 9:15 and 9:30 a.m. Daniel Robinson and his coworker, Ken Elliott, who was a pump technician, were assessing a remote drill site in the Sonoran Desert west of Phoenix. It was kind of located near the town of Buckeye, Arizona.
Yeah, I got that pulled up.
Which Joe has pulled up for anyone watching this on YouTube. This was only his second day on the job. Ken would go on to describe to authorities that Daniel was initially fine as they discussed things like the weather and the job. Ken Elliott went on to say that it was an abnormally cool day for the area, and Ken had never met Robinson before, and they were to work on a deep well. But within a short period, Robinson became distracted. Elliott went on to quote, "He was just looking off into the desert. He had a very, very distant look in his eyes. Whenever he'd turn around again, I would look at him and look into his eyes. The first thing I thought was maybe it was drugs or something, but his pupils weren't dilated. From that standpoint, everything appeared to be normal. Then I thought this was a medical condition or something. I wasn't too sure. I kept watching him, but he just kept turning around and looking off into the desert. Then he just turned around and walked back over to his Jeep. And I just assumed he was going to get something out of his vehicle. And he opened the door, got in, sat down, put on his seatbelt, then looked at me and just waved, backed up, and took off. At that point, Robinson drove off in his blue Jeep Renegade. Elliott told his coworkers by phone about what had happened, and assuming that Daniel wasn't feeling well and would call in sick. However, no one heard from Daniel after that. He was reported missing to the Buckeye Police Department the same day. Elliott later followed Daniel's Jeep tracks in the rain-soaked dirt around... Let me start that over. I'm having trouble now.
It has been like a month since we've done this.
Yes.
We're always a little off.
Elliott later followed Daniel's Jeep tire tracks in the rain-soaked dirt road and found that instead of going left at a T-junction to Phoenix, he actually went right deeper into the Sonoran Desert. So first problem, Phoenix is not that far away from where, I mean, they're in a remote area, but, you know, one direction takes you to a huge city and the other direction just off into nothing. There's literally nothing the other direction. So the search and rescue operation kicked off pretty quick in this case. It was led by the Buckeye Police Department. They had a lot of different assets at their disposal. They were using UTVs, cadaver dogs, searchers on foot, and drones flying overhead, along with assistance in the air from the Phoenix Firebird helicopters and the Civil Air Patrol. But the Civil Air Patrol actually didn't check in until later in the search.
Okay.
And I think Joe will show some pictures that we have of the search and of Daniel himself. So it is now June 24th of 2021. Tempe police were dispatched to check Robinson's apartment on June 24th, but they actually never went inside. So the search continued for several weeks. Family members traveled from the East Coast to Arizona to join the search, which at this point had covered an area of 70 square miles. So
it's just nothing.
Yeah.
They're like, look at this map. It's like, okay, I don't know where that is.
So, I mean, that looks like, I think it's got the roads named. That might be the
West Cactus Road.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if I can find West Cactus Road.
So your original map that you had pulled up, you had the junction of the Parkway and West Cactus Road.
Yeah.
So
nope, it's not that one.
No, that zoomed in the Buckeye. It's kind of north of Buckeye. So I think I see what it. So one of the roads has to be the Parkway. What's that?
That's what. Yeah, Valley Parkway, Sun Valley Parkway.
Yeah. So that where that road intersects with the other road is kind of where they were. So
there we go. Sun Valley Parkway, Buckeye, Arizona. That's a good start. Oh yeah, it's way over. There we go. That makes more sense.
Yep. But yeah, it's desolate.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. There's nothing
out there.
Are those
train tracks, or is that that's
the Parkway?
Okay, this is just like a dirt road that goes parallel.
So
wow, that is a whole lot of nothing.
Whole lot of nothing. And so like I said, family members were flying out from the East Coast, and the search area now was up to 70 square miles. Detectives did say they had obtained a ping from Daniel's phone, but were unable to track it due to the phone being off or out of range. So the law enforcement actually was able to get a warrant to get phone records, and they learned that he had not...
It's right here.
Okay.
That's a substation. So they last saw him on the road, and the job site was up here.
Yeah.
Right here.
So, yeah, very remote. And we actually have a video of a gentleman from Web Sleuths who actually went out here and recorded.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, is that the well?
This is the job site, yeah.
So, yeah, we have a video. We'll just kind of play in the background of kind of the area to give you a sense of how desolate and remote this area is.
Yeah. Oh, no, this is it. Sorry.
Oh, is that the pumping
That's
station?
the pump, yeah.
Or the drill site?
Yep.
So like I said, police were able to obtain call records for Daniel, and they learned that he had not made any calls or texts after leaving the job site. Detectives, along with Daniel's family, worked to obtain phone and financial information, but did not locate any information which would aid in locating him. What map you got up here? This might just be a search grid.
Is it? Yeah, it's a search grid zoomed out.
Yeah.
That was the job site.
From
so
Buckeye Police.
Yeah. So it's just farther out.
It's just a grid map.
Yep. Of like this view right here.
Yeah. So
God, that search would have been terrible.
Yeah. So like I said, they didn't find any financial information or any phone records from his personal or work phone since his disappearance. His family and friends and coworkers said that in the days prior to his disappearance, he was not like himself, but said there is no indication that he wished harm to himself or wanted to leave the area. Several mine shafts were actually searched in the area too, but there was no sign of Daniel. And we had some pictures. The police department posted a few pictures of the mine search. I think if you go out one folder.
Okay. Mine shaft search. You did a great job labeling.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, he's looking in the mine shaft.
Yep, looking in the.
There he is.
So there you go. Probably some kind of camera on the end of that string. So.
Yep.
But yeah, so they searched mine shafts and obviously didn't find anything. We have a press release from the Buckeye Police Department. Buckeye Police conducted targeted searches this week in an effort to locate Daniel Robinson, who has been missing since June 23rd. These searches took place in the desert area where Daniel's vehicle was recovered. We didn't get to that yet. Investigators focused on locations where volunteer search crews reported their tracking dogs had previously alerted. Buckeyes PD did follow up with searches, and they found no evidence of Daniel. Today, investigators used a robot equipped with a camera to search 2 mine shafts, one of them more than 75 feet deep. They also found no sign of Daniel. So kind of interesting. They were using some kind of robot to search the mine shaft. So now it is July 7th of 2021, and police actually finally entered Robinson's home roughly 2 weeks after he was reported missing, and didn't find any evidence leading to them to. They didn't find any evidence to his whereabouts, so nothing out of the ordinary.
Oh, they're like still thinking maybe he's not in it. Like maybe he just left and went home and didn't tell anybody. And
yeah, at this point, his car had not been found yet, so they really had no theories.
They thought like, all right, maybe he just drove off a weird way and he got home.
So. This is also around the time when the Civil Air Patrol, which...
Yeah, that's a weird SAR situation where they're not even sure if the person's actually missing.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough... I mean, he drove down a dirt road into a desert. Like, in the conditions were pretty wet, so tracks probably weren't preserved. I mean, what do you do? Like,
yeah.
I give them credit for the size of the search with the limited information that they had. So, now you're pulling up stuff for the vehicle.
All right. I'll wait.
So
I'll wait.
It is now July 19th of 2021. So almost a month after Daniel disappeared, a rancher called a rancher by the name of Brandon Shelton found his 2017 Jeep Renegade with the license plate NLA2CMA in a ravine. It was just 4 miles from the work site where he was last seen, but Daniel was not at the scene. The Jeep had landed on its side with significant damage. Police said the seatbelt had been worn at the time, and the airbags were found deployed. One of Robinson's size 11.5 Red Wing work boots was stuck under the truck. Shelton, whose cattle graze 14,000 acres in the Buckeye area, is convinced the car had only been in the ravine that leads to the river on his property a short while when he came across it, saying, "It was clean and my cows would have found it. Cows are inquisitive creatures and would have licked it." So he thinks it was relatively clean, but the family actually hired a private investigator, and they went into the black box of the Jeep, and it doesn't seem like the Jeep had been...
Wait, there's a black box in Jeeps?
There's a black box in all cars. Like
Really?
Pretty sure, yeah. I can tell you, like...
Or is it like just the car's computer?
Well, it's not like a black box in an airplane.
Okay, that's what you made me think. I'm like...
It's not like recording, like, conversations in the cabin of the car, but...
It's like, what radio stations you've been listening to?
It records, like, the time of an accident.
Okay.
Things like that.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool and creepy.
Yeah. I'm probably wrong on it. I thought almost all cars...
You keep talking,
cars,
I'll look it up, and
okay.
I'll correct you so other people...
So, like we said, the rancher thinks the Jeep was there, pretty recently, but I have my doubts about when the Jeep got there just based on what the private investigator found. But the Jeep was found in an area that had already been searched, with police saying because of the rough terrain, the vehicle was not clearly visible to crews searching by air and foot. The vehicle contained Robinson's clothes, phone, wallet, keys, and a bottle of water. T-shirt, jeans turned inside out, shorts, orange work vest, boots, and 2 mismatched black socks were all located. One of the socks was a Nike and the other was an Adidas. According to police, this is strange. The cell phone was missing a memory card and wiped clean. However, police were reportedly able to still download some files from the phone, which showed he was texting a girl and showed up at her home. And I actually have more information on that as well.
All right.
Coming up. So here's a little more detail from...
Real quick, you are correct. Car black box collects driving information before, during, and after a collision. There you go. The device's formal name is the Event Data Recorder.
There we go. I thought...
It's speed, acceleration, braking, steering, and airbag activation are recorded.
Yeah, it's not like continuously recording.
Yeah, it says it does like 20 seconds before an accident, so it's probably a rolling... record,
yeah, so it
has deleting constantly until a thing happens.
Any given point, it has 20 seconds of data, and then if an accident happens, then it starts recording.
Yeah. So it said they can generally record up to only 3 events before older events automatically erase themselves. Cool. So, neat.
So
I didn't know about that.
The more you know.
Oh, and you can remove them legally.
Oh, you
There's
can?
no law that says you can't. So if you don't want that in your car, look up how to remove it, and it won't affect your car's driving, according to the website I looked up.
All right. So we do actually have the police report for this disappearance, and we've got some more detailed information on the condition of the vehicle.
Do you notice how I thought like finding a car in the desert would be easy? Look at that. That's the car.
Zoom in on that.
That's the car. That's as far as let me zoom. That would be incredibly hard to see from the air.
Yeah, and someone on Web Sleuths said that the law in Arizona, and this may be in everywhere in the U.S., but specifically in this area, is the search helicopters were not allowed to go below 500 feet. So
it probably messes with the ecosystem.
I don't know if it might just be a law that they can't fly that low. So
that's my guess is because it would like rip up shrubs and stuff.
For all the sand. But
yeah,
for whatever reason, we don't know why they can't go below 500 feet. And I'm not 100% positive on that law. Maybe Joe can look that up while I'm looking it up. But if that is true, that would make a lot of sense why they may have missed this. Because that picture you showed, that was
lower than 500 feet. So that was probably like a drone shot from the cops.
I've been looking at that picture all day and didn't know the car was in it.
Well, Mike, it literally has a big red arrow pointing.
Go back to the other one. So yeah,
see that giant red arrow pointing to where the car is in the ravine?
I don't know what I was thinking.
This could be 500 feet, and then It's zoomed in like a camera.
Yeah.
So let's guess real quick why they can't.
I'm going to go with it just kicks up too much sand and
you
dust.
think it would like go into the rotors and actually...
Yeah, or it obscure the pilot's ability to fly it.
Okay.
Is it a real law?
I'm not there yet. I'm just saying let's guess before we go.
So while Joe's looking that up, I will give a more detailed description of the vehicle per the police report. So the vehicle was facing northwest. The vehicle had significant damage and appeared to have had a front impact with the dirt and rolled before resting on the passenger side. One piece of the Jeep's black removable roof was on the ground, partially wedged under the front of the Jeep. The driver's front window was shattered, and the police detective writing this report, located glass on the ground consistent with the Jeep rolling one time. There was also substantial damage to the lower front end and damage to the top of the windshield and roof. After some further investigation, detectives believe that Daniel's vehicle left the dirt roadway where it ended south of his job site near an open dirt area and proceeded up the hillside. It appeared that he drove over several bushes before ending up in the ravine. The vehicle was still in drive when it was found. I observed a pair of jeans inside out, 2 brown work-type boots, a faded orange vest with the company logo, a T-shirt, and 2 socks, which were inside out. I could see the outline of what appeared to be a wallet in the pocket of the jeans. I walked the same path to the vehicle which redacted had walked and did not observe any person inside the vehicle. It was relatively clean. The outside, clean on the outside, but there had been 3 or more big rains in the area since Daniel went missing. There was evidence of rain damage on the inside of the Jeep, and a hard hat inside was filled with rainwater. I located Daniel's Samsung Galaxy S10 cell phone, the vehicle, and apartment keys, and a backpack with Daniel's work laptop and other documents inside. There were also other miscellaneous items inside the car, like clothing, a basketball, unopened water bottles, and other items. I did not observe any blood or other evidence of an injury despite the substantial damage to the vehicle. I checked the area and did not observe any indication that Daniel spent a considerable amount of time at the vehicle. There were no empty water bottles or other items other than Daniel's clothing in the area. There were no tracks immediately surrounding the vehicle that weren't made by the caller or detectives. So, the ravine was searched on the ground by foot and in the air by the Department of Public Safety Ranger helicopter, but they found no trace of Robinson. And like the police report said, there was no blood found in the car, and there was no indication of foul play. So very strange circumstance with the car. So how's the hunt going for...
I am deep into some DHS.gov laws about Sonoran pronghorn.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's a law yet.
Okay, well...
But they said engine failure can occur if dust and sand get kicked up in the engine, so it might just be less of a law and more like it's very dangerous to fly a helicopter at low altitudes in the desert because it can suck up into the engines and you get engine failure.
Yeah. So either way, I heard that on the Web Sleuths forum. A lot of times it's a great tool to find. A lot of people post news articles and police reports and things. So whether this gentleman who said that it's true or not, but it does make sense in a very sandy, dusty environment that you wouldn't want to fly too low because, well, and the other thing, I'm thinking of is if you're kicking up all that dust and dirt, you're not going to be able to see what you're searching for.
Yeah, you cover tracks and things like that.
So you probably want to be high enough that you don't disturb the ground because that would hamper your ability to conduct the search. So
yeah.
All right, so fast forward now to July 31st. Oh, Joe, do you want to play a little snippet of that video?
Yeah.
And then we'll just let it run in the background.
We'll hear some audio in the beginning. But this guy went to all the sites, the job site where he was last seen, and then where the crash was.
Hello, my name is Jeff Brunton. I go by JJ Ray on Web Sleuths and just Jeff AZ on IG and Pixels.com. I thought after so many months of working on a Daniel Robinson case, I would come out and show everybody pretty much the main sites and the key points. Right now I'm at Cactus and Sun Valley Parkway, and I'm facing west, and you can kind of see just pretty much the general terrain, a lot of creosote bushes, small mesquites up in this area. They get larger further down toward the Hacienda. I'm panning south now, and basically about 5 miles south from here is Tartesso subdivision. And if we keep panning and we go to the southeast and we face east, these are the White Tank Mountains. It's the most predominant feature closest to the work site, the well site, and to the wreck site. Further north, to the northeast we're facing is Festival, development by Del Webb. Directly north, you're going to find a CAP, Central Arizona Pumping Station.
Like the wreck site was the other side of the freeway.
About 4 or 5 miles.
Pass over the freeway.
Yeah.
We've got some Luke Air Force.
So I'm going to turn the volume off. We can keep going because he's just going to over-explain the whole area. But for those of you just listening, he's just spinning around in a circle at that road, Cactus Road, where he mentioned off the freeway.
Intersection.
And you heard there's some traffic, so it's not like it's in the middle of nowhere.
This isn't where the site
he was like a mile
though.
South or something like that.
Yeah, so the site, you looked it up, is more remote.
Yeah, you have to get off the beaten path, but it's not like it's weird because they're out in the middle of nowhere, but like there's a highway.
Yeah.
Right, within a couple miles, and he's in a car, so it's not like he drove 20 miles on a dirt road to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's, only several miles off, and I mean, there's decent traffic when he was filming this video. So it's kind of weird. It's like in between, I don't know.
It's desolate, but
it's very desolate.
A highway that you can get out of there.
Yeah, like getting lost would be hard in a car if you're on the roads. It seems like. This is my opinion, but based on looking at this, it's desolate, but there's dirt roads and tire tracks.
I mean, you could get lost if you drove down some of these dirt roads. They probably go for dozens of miles. And you don't know where you're going, but I agree. I mean, and that's why it's puzzling, because Daniel didn't drive towards Phoenix. He drove west deeper into the desert. So I'm going to go on with the timeline here. So like I said, we're fast forwarding to July 31st of 2021, and a human skull was found, actually. But they did further testing and determined that it was not Daniel's. And the identity of whoever's skull it was still remains unknown. So they found another missing person, potentially.
This is like the third or fourth episode where they went searching for one person, just found other people.
Yeah, it's a little spooky.
Yeah.
So around the end of July of 2021, the family hired a private investigator. His name was Jim McGrath. He was a former police officer who specialized in accident investigations. Based on GPS data, he discovered that the Jeep had gotten into multiple accidents after Daniel's disappearance, but before it fell down the ravine. Evidence from the vehicle showed that it crashed, the airbags were deployed, then it drove another 11 miles and was involved in another crash. The first collision was 4 hours after Daniel went missing, while there was also some paint transfer from the vehicle. After the first accident, though, it's unknown where the vehicle was taken next. McGrath said that the airbags were deployed. The ignition was turned on at least 46 more times during the extra 11 miles driven. So very erratic behavior, in a car. So to recap that, they discovered that it got into multiple accidents before it ended up in the ravine, and it drove.
I wonder what the sensitivity is, because if he was off-roading, were they recorded as accidents, but it was just.
I would imagine they've probably engineered it to be.
I really wish I still had my Jeep. Yeah. Because after I jumped it off that jump, I'd love to see if that was recorded as an accident.
Right.
Because everything in the car hit the ceiling.
My guess is there's sensors throughout the car that have to record some kind of collision. But like we said, it was then driven for another 11 miles and involved in another crash. And the first collision, like I said, it only happened 4 hours after Daniel went missing. So something strange happened. It is now. Oh, so that is kind of the end of the timeline. His remains haven't been found, and very strange circumstances around his Jeep being found. And then, like we said, January 7th of 2023, just a few days ago, we're recording this on January 10th of 2023, human remains were found by a Facebook user named Penny Buffington. I put the picture in the drive, but I wouldn't show it right now. A lot of people online, some of the news organizations showed it, and people got pretty upset.
It's not even related to the case.
Yeah.
I mean, like, technically, if they already determined it's not him.
Yeah.
So
I would say
we don't have to.
You know, it's somebody's parent or brother or sister. We're not going to show it. I mean, if you really want to go see it, it's some of the major news channels out of Arizona have it on their website. So you can do that on your own time if you so choose. The father has come out and said that these aren't Daniel's remains, and I believe he's not basing this on probably DNA evidence yet because there's no way that's been conducted. Based on what was found in Daniel's car, it sounds like he stripped his clothing off. And it sounds like the remains that were just found had clothing either on the remains or around where the bones were found.
Yeah.
So
I'll back up on that. There's a nice still of the... I'll let it play through.
So we will find out at some point. They'll get those bones analyzed, and we'll know.
Yeah, we can do an update.
So we'll update everyone. So before Joe and I get into theories, oh yeah. So
that's a
major
quite a
damage.
Roll.
And you can clearly see that it got into accidents before going into that ravine.
Unless it was rolling.
Well, the black box said it got into multiple accidents.
Well,
before.
that's where I'm wondering. So I'm gonna just because this is funny. Here is. So is that an accident? Hold on, let's get audio. Let me restart. How do I restart it? Here we go. Ready? Because you can hear it.
Oh my God.
It slammed down and everything. I was worried stuff broke in it. I'm wondering if that would record as an accident because I got quite a bit of air on that.
Your
jump.
airbags didn't deploy. I feel like
good point. If that was like the precursor, for it to work.
So,
I just wanted to show that video. I just love. I want like 20,000 people to know I did that in a Jeep. That's really why.
Yeah. You owned it. Wink, wink.
Yes. You're not supposed to say the wink, wink.
So investigators believe something triggered Robinson to go into the desert where he stripped off and wandered away from his car. But Jeff McGrath said that theory made no sense. He goes on to quote, "If you're delirious and ripped off all your clothes and wandered into the desert, you wouldn't stick one of your shoes under the car. My personal theory is that someone deliberately wrecked that vehicle out there." McGrath believes Robinson was upset about the rejection of a woman and went on an all-night video game binge. So the Buckeye police report
What's the basis for that?
Well, I'm getting to it.
Okay, I was like, that's a very specific thing to say, and I haven't heard anything so far that would back that up.
A Buckeye police report states that Daniel met a woman named Caitlin while he was making deliveries for Instacart and dropped off an order for her home. Caitlin said she and her friend were drunk and they invited Robinson inside, and they later exchanged numbers. Within a week, he arrived at her house unannounced and began sending her texts saying, "I couldn't stop thinking about you and I love you." She tried to rebuff him by saying, "Honestly, you showing up at my house unannounced made me extremely uncomfortable. I don't see us hanging out anytime soon." The next day, he turned up at her house again. He wrote, "Do you hate me?" Daniel replied, I don't hate you, but please leave me alone." That's Caitlin replied in a text. He took 15 hours to respond with his final text to her. 18 hours after that final text, he disappeared. McGrath said of the events after he drove off, "At that point, I think somebody, not a good person, found him. I can't imagine what they did with him, but I believe his vehicle was crashed a couple of times, and then its final arrest was at the bottom of the ravine. McGrath found another black Nike sock 3 miles away in the desert. He cannot explain it, but it is another reason he believes there is more to this case than meets the eye. McGrath and Daniel's family believe the Buckeye police did not carry out a thorough investigation into Robinson's mysterious disappearance. They pointed out that Daniel's clothes, possessions, and car were handed over to his father as soon as he arrived in Arizona. However, Robinson's brother, Roger, believes police are doing what they can to find him now, but he fears it's too little, too late. Had they been quick about it in the beginning, we wouldn't be here 3 months later still searching for my brother and still looking for answers.